Alright everybody, welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to teach you how to build a camper van. I'm going to show you the process that is needed for you to build a camper van just like I did. I've got the legendary notepad and there are 23 steps to build your own camper van. We have changed location. We are currently in Bosnia. This is another beautiful location. I may do a paradise vlog on this spot in particular because it's perfect. You're out the way, we're parked on our own, it's not cost anything. That'll come up in future videos. Jumping straight into it. The process for building a camper van. Before I start, I want to make a few things clear. This is how I built my camper van. The odd little thing may change for your van because obviously vans are different shapes, different sizes, different material. Mine is a box van. The exterior is made out of wood. The roof is made out of fiberglass. So it depends on which van you've got. But in general, I believe that most people will be able to follow this process in order to build their own camper van. Step number one. Get a van. Now, if you saw my previous video on the 7 requirements for building a camper van, that was also step number one. Obviously in the requirements there was things like parking, tools, material, etc. You need a van in order to park it somewhere. So step number one, you need to get a van. Now the second step, you need to plan your layout. What do you want in your camper van? My van, as I've mentioned previously, is built so it is capable for off-grid living. So that means we have solar panels on the roof, we have a water tank, we have a shower, I have a fire, I have gas. So everything is ready. So basically I don't have to go to campsites. So the most important thing you need to do before you plan your layout that will ultimately determine what layout your camper van is going to be, you need to decide what do you want in your camper van. Do you want a cooker or are you just happy with 2 hob burner? Do you want a fireplace or are you happy with a diesel heater? Do you want a full water system or are you happy just with a foot pump? Do you want full electrics or do you just want to be able to plug it into campsites? So this is very important. So have a think about that, and then that will determine how you can then plan the layout for your camper van. So that's step number 2, plan the layout. The third step, repair any holes, rust or damage. Now the reason that I say that is because before you start any of this work, you need to make sure the shell of your camper van is in the best condition that it possibly can be. I had holes in 3 of the corners of the roof of my camper van. I got soaked. It wasn't a pleasant experience, but we're not here to talk about that. But what I'm saying to you, it's important to repair any of the damage because then you've got a perfect shell to start building from. So repair any damage. That's step number 3. Step number 4, if you are having a skylight or if you're having a fan, I've got a Max Air fan. I would highly recommend it. It's got inflow and it's got outflow. They're the first things that I then installed on my van. So decide whether you want a skylight. I like to look at the stars, it's extra light, and obviously the fan for me is very important just for hot weather. Trust me, I would highly advise you getting a fan because when you're in 35-degree heat like this, you want something to take out the stale air in the van. So that's the 4th step. Your 5th step, what I started with was the flooring. Now, I was obviously living in my camper van whilst I was building it in London. It took me 18 months. It was freezing in October when I started this build. My mattress was on the floor of the van, just the wooden main floor, whatever it is, that's on the camper van floor. So I wanted to basically insulate that so then at least I had a heat layer so that I could put my mattress on top of and sleep on. I also had a problem with mold. So yeah, that's the first thing that I needed to solve. So step number 5 is the flooring. Now that is not your lino or your tiles or whatever you're going to put on top of the flooring. This is just the framing for the flooring, the insulation, and then the hardwood that goes over the top that you then put your lino or whatever else on. So that's step number 5. Step number 6, your ceiling insulation and the vapor barrier. Now, to explain, your ceiling insulation is, I used PIR boards. You can have a look online, look at the PIR board. I use 25mm PIR board for my roof. My roof is straight. If you have a Mercedes Sprinter or these medium wheelbase vans, often their roofs are curved or the walls are curved. So just bear that in mind. To explain for those that don't know, a vapor barrier, these are absolutely essential. Because basically, if you don't have a vapor barrier, there'll be gaps in the insulation. Heat rises, it creates condensation on the roof, and then you'll start having mold in between the gaps. So basically, a vapor barrier is what completely seals your roof to trap the heat and stop it escaping in certain gaps and creating condensation. So that is step number 6, your ceiling insulation and your vapor barrier. Step number 7, for me, was my windows and doors. You need to do your windows and doors before you do your framing, because you're going to build your framing around your windows and doors. Decide what size windows that you want. I would recommend bigger windows than smaller windows. My friend, who I was also traveling with, has smaller windows, they're glass, and he regrets it. He wished that he got the bigger plastic windows. Mine are double glazed plastic windows. Another tip for you guys, this also stops people smashing your windows. You can't smash glass, so it's a lot safer as well. Well, that's step number 7, is your windows and doors, cutting out your windows and doors and then putting in the windows and doors themselves. Step number 8, wall framing and insulation. Like I said, you're going to build the wall framing around your windows and doors, and then you're also going to put your insulation, whether that be wall, whether that be PIR boards, and you can also use foam for insulation. So decide what insulation that you want and then obviously journey ahead. I went for PIR boards because they come in big boards, they're ready made, they're easy to just put in. But like I said, mine's a box fan, it's got nice straight walls, it's easier to work with. With a Mercedes Sprinter or something like this, you'll find there's an arc in the walls, so it might not be best, even though my friend still did go down the PIR route. But have a look into insulation and decide what you think is best for you. Step number 9, the exterior of your walls. The exterior of the interior walls. So then you're just going to put the wooden framing around the walls once you've got the insulation and once you've got the framing done. That kind of completes it. That was a very exciting stage for me. Imagine, obviously, because I'm living in it, finally I've got a place that's got windows, that's got a door, that's now got walls, it's insulated on the roof, it's insulated on the floor, and I'm good to go. Trust me, that felt good. Step number 10, your roof framing. Again, it depends on what van you've got. The reason that I say that you're roof framing, because the next step is going to be your electrics. But what you need first is you need the framing of your roof so you can slide in your electrics or plan your electrics and put it along, okay? So that's step number 10, is your roof framing. Step number 11, like I just mentioned, is electrics. The reason that you do the electrics next is because your ceiling finish comes after this. So you're going to fit all of your electrics around the framing of your roof, and then you're going to put the ceiling on top of it so it covers it for a nice neat finish. Now this is one other thing, you'll see a lot of other van builds, and again, this is where you need to be a little bit flexible and go with what works best for you. For me, I was living in the van. A major problem I had was condensation, mold growing, it was freezing. So for me, I needed to do a vapor barrier, I needed my walls and insulation, I needed my flooring. A lot of vans will put their electrics, the wires, before they do the insulation so it can run behind the walling. For me, I've got copper tubes, what do you call it? Light switches, whatever, that are boxes that are outside. They're a nice copper finish and stuff like this. I've still made it look neat, but you may want to put your electrics in first and have everything hidden behind the walls like you do in most houses, okay? but this is the way that I've done it, so I'm just sharing it how I have gone on this journey. Step number 12, your ceiling finish. As I just mentioned, now you're going to put the ceiling. You know, I put some wood in different shapes because I was trying to get arty with it and all this kind of stuff. I decided, nah, this looks pretty shit. And I took it down, I put in the ceiling again. But whatever works for you, make it look nice for yourself. Step number 13, I then installed my shower area, my bathroom area. Again, it depends on what you want in your van. I did the walling for my shower. For me, I put a wooden frame around on the ceiling of mine. Now it was finished. I then built walls around it and I put in the shower tray. Then that was basically done. And then obviously, after you have done step 13, which also includes the hole for the tray, for where the water's going to run to, step number 14 then is the waterproofing for all of that work. So I think it's called PVC, but don't quote me on that. I believe that's plastic walling. That's what I used for my shower, and then obviously I just used sealant in all of the edges. I may do other videos on this to show you properly how to do a shower, but obviously in this I'm just showing you the process, because some of you may know how to do this, some of you may not. Depends really what requests I get, because everything that I'm doing now is coming from requests. Step number 15, your fireplace or your heating. You may not have a fireplace. Most camper vans do not have a fireplace. I wanted a real fire in my van, so I've got legendary Lenny. I've got a full flue. It's enough to heat my van. Most common used are diesel heaters. So either way, whatever heating source that you are going to use, just find out how big it is, what space it's going to take up, and then ultimately what's required. You can decide where that goes in your van. I obviously put things in my plan, my very basic plan that I did, but things have seemed to work out okay. Step number 16, the kitchen framing. Now this is just the woodwork that goes around to build the kitchen itself. Some people may want to go to IKEA and buy already built kitchen units, already built cupboards and this kind of stuff. Every single thing in my van I built. I chopped it with a handsaw or my jigsaw, and I built the whole framing. I built the cupboards, I built the cupboard doors, everything. You decide what's right for you, and to be honest with you, what you can be asked to do, how you want it to look and how you want to finish it. Obviously I wanted to be particular with the finish of my van, so I built everything myself by hand. So step number 16 is your kitchen framing. One thing that I would say to you guys to help, think if you're going to have a cooker, you need to obviously build your framing around your cooker. So measure your cooker, measure your fridge, measure your sink, measure the waste. Then you know the depth of the cupboards for your waste. You know the width of the framing for your cooker, and you know the width and the height of the framing also for the fridge. So just bear that in mind before you just randomly start jumping into your van and building a frame, and then you think, oh shit, actually I want a cooker, there's nowhere for it to fit. It all builds around it, okay? Now the next thing is your kitchen cupboards. I built kitchen cupboards. Again, I put the framing around the ceiling. I then built the frame downwards from the kitchen ceiling, and I also put a frame along the back wall, and then I drilled in. So at the bottom and at the top, it's drilled into the ceiling from this frame, and it's drilled into the wall from this frame, so then it's nice and secure. And obviously I put brackets along the top. So that's how I did my kitchen cupboards. But kitchen cupboards is step number 17. Step number 18 is the sofa. Again, it depends whether you just buy a sofa or you build the framing for the sofa. I built the framing for my sofa, a very simple build, basically 4 pieces of wood for the legs, and then just put wood across to put the actual sofa cushion on as well. And then I also built a storage box underneath. So think about things like storage, because I promise you storage is extremely important, especially if you're planning to live in your camper van, and even more so if there's 2 of you. Step number 19, your bed frame. I bought my bed frame. It's the only thing that I didn't build in the camper van. I bought my bed off eBay, got a really good deal on it, mattress and everything. So all I needed to do for my bed frame is I basically built 4 stilts where I was going to position my bed at the back of the van, and then fortunately I could just trim the frame and I could put the bed straight on top, and it worked perfectly. And that's a full-size double bed. But that's what comes next. Step number 19 is your bed frame. Step number 20 is your appliances. Now that's not the full insulation, pipework and the rest of this. It's basically just positioning your cooker. It's positioning your fridge. It's putting your sink into place. Because then is when you actually start installing these appliances. Obviously I connected my fridge. My fridge is the only 12-volt electric appliance that I have in the kitchen. So I connected that to the electrics after I put in the fridge. Before I did the gas, I did step number 21, which is the water. So that consists of your water tank, all of the components that you need, so like your water pump, your expansion vessel, your filter and everything else. You've got a waste tank underneath, you've got traps and this kind of stuff. So I completed the water. I've got other videos coming up. I am going to show you guys all of the water system that I use and how I installed it, okay? Step number 22 was the gas. And this was one of the final stages in the van. The gas, I've got an LPG gas tank. I would highly advise you to get an LPG gas tank. You can either have gas bottles or you can have a gas tank, or you can have a little gas burner that you put a stove in, but that's basically camping, it's not off-grid living. I would advise you to install an LPG gas tank. It cost me about 600 to 700 for the tank and the components that I needed, and it cost me about 550, 600 for the cooker, but it's absolutely worth it because it will save you a fortune in gas in the long run. And obviously it's really nice having a full-size cooker with hobs, with a grill, with a cooker, basically everything that you can do at home. So that's step 22. And the final step, number 23, is just the finishing touches. So this is the tiling, this is the lino or whatever it is, the tiles that you use on the floor, this is the paint jobs, this is putting in your quilts, this is putting in your cushions, and all of the stuff that basically is going to make this place look really nice for you guys. So there we go. That is the full 23-step process that I did to build my camper van. Hopefully this helps you guys. I've got some other videos coming out. I'm going to show you the full electric system that I've got. I'm going to show you the full water system that I've got. I'm going to show you how to do the waste as well. But other stuff in between, to be honest with you, you're probably just going to have to Google it and look yourself, because this is pretty flexible and it is dependent on what van you've got and the lifestyle that you want to live, whether it's off-grid or whether it's not. So there's another video for you guys. I hope it's helped. If you've got any questions, as always, just let me know. I'll do my best to answer. I'm getting quite a lot of questions and stuff. I'm not going to lie, I don't do this as a full-time job. I'm not Bob the Builder. I'm traveling the world, I'm having fun, but I've got requests to do these kind of videos, and I thought, why not? If I can help other people live a life of freedom, I think that that is quite a noble pursuit. So that is what I'm doing. So any questions, let me know. And yeah, I will see you on upcoming videos. Peace, love, I'll see you soon.